When I think about loneliness and isolation, I tend to think about older people because that's what we were trained to think about during the pandemic, right? That older people are alone. All of us were alone at certain points. But we don't necessarily tend to think about the idea that all of us suffer from loneliness and isolation. During the pandemic, we saw kids who were affected. Now we're realizing the effects of being alone, of not being connected with one another. And I'm not here to rewrite what happened or to say that decisions that we made societally or as individuals and families were wrong. That's not the point of this. The point is to say that something has changed in our experience of the world that's doing us damage. When the Surgeon General of the United States says the single greatest concern for health, I should say, not mental health, the equivalent of 15 cigarettes a day in health terms is loneliness, we've got to think about it. When the government of the United Kingdom creates for the first time in British history a ministry to tackle loneliness, we've got to think about it seriously. When 78% of young people in America that we think maybe have it all worked out in terms of friendships, they're never not in touch with each other when they claim 78% to be lonely, to suffer from loneliness, and nearly 60% of all adults say they're lonely. We've got to take that subject seriously. Taking it seriously isn't just thinking about it, maybe even talking about it, reading about it, even writing about it. It's doing something about it. It's saying, I wouldn't choose to smoke 15 cigarettes a day. So what would I do for my physical and mental health to change that reality? If it's true, and I assume that it is true, that loneliness has that deleterious an effect on our beings, then we need to take it much more seriously than many of us do. If we go to the doctor because we have a broken bone or a strain, a muscle, the doctor will probably give us a brace, maybe even a cane, a walker, something for a limited period of time. Now, there comes a point when the physician might say, I don't want you to be using that brace, wearing it. I don't want you to be walking with that stick or using that, whatever it is, that device, that tool anymore, because now, at this point in your recovery, you're using it for too long and possibly causing more harm than good. Now apply that to your social life. Isolation may have been very good and very important at a certain point, but at some point the doctor's saying, now come back. Zoom may have been absolutely important, vital for you to attend meetings and classes and events and see your family and friends. But if you're still overusing it, maybe it's that crutch that you need to put down. Maybe at this point in our lives, we need to say it's time to find one another more often. We tend to think that convenience is always for the better, right? Well, look at the idea that when I told you that 78% of young people in America claim to be lonely, suffer from loneliness, it's only 10 to 15% in other countries. So what is it about our society that's moving in the wrong direction in terms of loneliness and isolation and in the essence of our health, our well-being? Well, I want to suggest that convenience is the problem. We are making everything so convenient that we don't even need to leave the house to order food. We can just have it delivered. So we don't have to bump into human beings along the way to dinner and at dinner and after dinner and talk to a waiter or a shopkeeper. It's just brought to us. So as good as Instagram or any of those things are, they're feeding a part of us but starving another. So I don't mention this just to be trite and think about crutches and Instagram, but for us all to look at the conveniences in our lives and ask ourselves if they're actually doing us good. I hope this is helpful. I hope more than what I was able to offer you, 4 minutes or so of thought, that it provokes a much longer conversation with the people around you in your lives. And here's to health, here's to life, here's to your well-being.